Hi, my name is Chandra DeRamus, and I work for Kentucky State University's Cooperative Extension Program. I am a Family and Consumer Sciences Extension Agent, and I work within Hardin County. And today, I am going to talk to you about portion control and tips to help you maintain a healthy diet. So the dietary guidelines is a framework that was purposely provides recommendation by food groups and subgroups, not specific foods and beverages, to avoid being prescriptive. This framework approach ensures that people can make it their own by selecting healthy foods, beverages, meals, and snacks specific to their needs and preferences. The total number of calories a person needs each day varies depending on a number of factors, such as namely the person's age, sex, height, weight, level of physical activity, and pregnancy or lactation status. Nutrition and physical activity together help promote health and prevent chronic disease. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans is used by health professionals, policymakers, educators, and other health professionals to encourage healthy choices. There is what is referred to as the recommended number of daily or weekly servings of each food type based on eating a total of 2,000 calories per day. A balanced diet consists of everyone, whether involved in a sport or not, should try and eat a healthy, well-balanced diet. A balanced diet includes all of the things that the body needs. To achieve this, you need to eat a wide range of different types of food in the right proportions. According to the American Heart Association, they recommend that an overall healthy dietary pattern tailored to your personal and cultural food preferences. This pattern can include a variety of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, legumes, fish, skinless poultry, nuts, and fat-free, low-fat dairy products, and should limit sugary drinks, sweets, fatty or processed meats, solid fats, and salty or highly processed foods. It's all about making smart choices. If you eat a balanced diet, you will get the energy and nutrients required to participate in exercise and to recover from it quickly. The chart that you see here on the right side of the screen shows the various different food groups in their recommended portions. And each section represents a different food group. One is fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy. So you have 5 specific groups that we focus on. And this diagram is described as the My Plate diagram. It has been used over the last several years to recommend a more concise variety of foods for the dietary guidelines for Americans. Based on the dietary guidelines for Americans, we look at the adequate nutrients within calorie needs, and we look at portion controls and food groups. Over the course of any given day, week, or year, individuals consume foods and beverages in combination that we actually comprise, or we call, a dietary pattern. A dietary pattern represents the totality of what individuals habitually eat and drink, and the parts of the pattern act to affect health. Some other factors that determine calorie needs are age, race, activity level, and whether the individual wants to lose weight or whether the individual wants to gain weight. So pretty much that's going to be also, there is also some cultural factors that could determine what you are actually going to be eating on more of a more consistent basis. We're also going to talk about portion control today and talk about some tips on what portion control is and how that impacts your diet. Portion control is 100% under our control, or a portion size. Many foods that come as a single portion actually contain multiple servings. Portion size is a term often used to describe the amount of food or beverage served or consumed in one eating occasion. It is important to pay attention to portion size when making food and beverage choices, particularly for foods and beverages that are not nutrient dense, a concept that can help people choose appropriate portions in serving size. And in terms of portion size, you always want to thinking about the My Plate diagram that I described, or we showed the picture of before. That diagram was broken up into 4 components. And so what happens is, when you look at your portion sizes, you're looking at the fact that you have 5 components. And I call this the building blocks of good nutrition. But you have your fruits here, which, as you can tell, each little quadrant is a different size. And I'm referring to quadrants as these little shapes here in the middle. And then the circle of dairy products. Each little size represents a picture representation of how the food should be arranged on your plate in terms of how much of that food item you should be eating. So with your fruits, you can see that little triangle is kind of shaped a little bit smaller than the vegetables here. And then your protein is actually smaller than the vegetables, but the grain is almost as big as the vegetables. And your dairy you have over here, over to your right, is a lot smaller. And so they do this for a reason. And the reason is being that they are recommending that you eat more vegetables, basically based off the diagram. And so that's pretty much kind of what the diagram is referring to when it talks about the recommendations, daily requirements. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about how much of each of these subgroups and food groups you are actually supposed to consume. So when it comes to portion size, it's important to pay attention to when you're making your food and beverage choices, particularly for foods and beverages that are not nutrient dense. A concept that can help people choose appropriate portions is serving size. Just a minute ago, we talked a little bit about the My Plate diagram. And here, the statement suggests that your beverage choice needs to be not nutrient dense. What that is referring to is there is something referred to, or something that we call our nutrition label, that is located on actual bottles. And what I am going to show you in just a minute here is some of the nutrient dense properties that can be identified in a beverage. So when I say nutrient dense, what that means is that the vitamins and minerals, or the nutrition that this item is providing for you, may not be as healthy for you and may not give you much energy. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to do like a little comparison of this Ocean Spray Cran Tropical vitamin C little drink here. It's more of a tropical drink. Before I get into that, I just must say, you see a lot of products lists here on this table or on this countertop. We don't in particularly promote any specific brand. This is strictly for visual representation. So when I describe these things to you, that doesn't mean that I'm stating that you should only buy Ocean Spray products or 7-Up or Coke products or anything that's here. the General Mills or any of the brands. So just making sure that everyone's aware of that one. So back to the nutrient density in drinks and beverages. So I talked a little bit about the nutrition facts in the drinks. Now, I have this little nutrition facts label on the back, and it contains a list of all the nutrients that are contained in this tropical drink. One thing to note, it has a list of ingredients on here as well. One thing you want to look at when you're looking at your tropical drinks or any food in particular is the first 3 ingredients that you find on a nutrition label is typically what you will notice that the food item or drink item contains. So for this item, it states that there's filtered water, sugar, cranberry juice, water and cranberry juice concentrate, apple juice, water, apple concentrate, mango juice. So it sounds pretty good, right? The other thing is that it says it has 80 calories. Then a serving, it says 3 servings per container. So what it's stating on this nutrition label, it tells you how many servings or how many times you should be able to drink out of this container. It says it has 20 grams of sugar, 21 grams of carbohydrates, and 90 milligrams of vitamin C at 100%. Now what we're going to do is compare those nutrition facts to the 7-Up here. The 7-Up is listed at 90 calories. So as you can see, it's already a 10 calorie difference in the 2 items. And the first 3 ingredients are filtered carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, citric acid, potassium citrate, and natural flavors. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So, and on the front here, it says caffeine free. Now, as far as the nutrient density part of it that we're talking about, this, let's see here, 7.5 ounce of can says we have 1 serving, meaning that this is going to get you 1 thing of beverage. So it has 25 grams of milligrams of sodium. Total carbs is 24 grams. Sugars is 24 grams. 0 grams of protein and 40 milligrams of potassium. If we look back at this one, based off just sheer observation, I would probably go with, as far as choosing a beverage in these 2 choices, I would go with item number 1 with the cran tropical juice, and I'll tell you why. The reason being is that you would get 100% of your daily value represented in this 1 drink. The vitamin C content on this drink is at 100% versus the 7-Up only has a 40 milligrams of potassium at a 0%. So basically, when I say nutrient dense, that is what I'm referring to. The fact that even though this is a bigger size item, obviously at 25 ounces, you would naturally think that because it's bigger, it may not give you as much nutrients, but it is a healthier drink overall. So one thing I will do is show you my next example is we're going to look at Welch's Strawberry Kiwi. And this is a fruit juice, and it's at 10 ounces. And so I'm not going to read it. I'm going to go ahead and read the first 3 ingredients. It says filtered water, high fructose corn syrup, apple juice from concentrate, and filtered water, apple juice concentrate, kiwi juice from concentrate. It's 110 calories, which is actually way much more calories than this item right here, which is your Ocean Spray Cran Tropical. And then it has 35 milligrams of salt or sodium, 25 or 29 carbs or grams of carbs or carbohydrates, 27 total sugar, or 27 grams of sugar, and 14 milligrams of vitamin C. So, for those of you sitting at home watching this, or if you're sitting in your car, or if you may be sitting, or standing, the point that I want to make out or point out is the simple fact that, number one, the sodium content on the cran tropical juice is much, much lighter. And if you're a person who has a chronic disease such as high blood pressure, sodium is something that you would want to pay particular attention to, because you may be the best person when it comes to not putting salt on your food or adding and eating no salt, but the sodium creeps in these little bitty ways of things like these items. Like, it looks healthy, Welch's strawberry kiwi, good source of vitamin C, no preservatives, but then when you turn it over to the back, it only gives you 14 milligrams. So how is this supposed to be better for, like, if you have a kid and you are trying to decide, say, between the 7-Up and the Welch's, you obviously will probably, it's still going to be a better choice versus the soda. However, in terms of your actual nutrient content, the Ocean Spray, I can't really promote it, but for this particular, these two examples, this one has more, it has more nutrients in it. And notice one thing that I really want to point out, there's certain labels on the actual front of the package that you may have never noticed. But it has little things on here like 100% profits go to our farmers. So you want to look for little things like that. Sometimes things will give you labels like, it's going to say something like organic, or it might say not processed, or it might say, and sometimes the funny part is, just like we see on this bottle, it says good source of vitamin C, but you know, we looked at the nutrition fact labels and that wasn't so much. So that's why it's important for you to look at this little label on the back. They don't just put this here so it looks pretty, and so you get to say, oh, that's cute, and then you just drink it, you know, or some people don't even really look at it probably. So that's a big one if you're trying to reduce your calories and you don't want to go to the gym, or you just don't have the time or what have you. That's a really, really big way that you can cut down on your sugar because in your sodium, because what the body does is when it overconsumes on sugar and sodium, it holds on to extra fat. So your body does not regulate its energy as well. So sugars in an excessive amount is not as good. But when you have a high content of your vitamin C, the vitamin C can be converted into some type of energy or to some type of use within itself, within the body, I mean. So portion size also has some meals that have portions that are enough for 2 or more people. Many convenience foods and drinks are priced lower but packaged in larger sizes to sell more. So I have a really good example of that one. I have a package, 2 different packages, matter of fact, of cereal. And we're going to see who has the better, I guess you could say, nutrients in that one. It's conveniently packaged. However, again, we're going to be looking for nutrition status here, nutrition density. Okay, so it's almost like we're in a boxing match, right? And so, or not really a boxing match, but we're doing this whole comparison thing. And so we're going to move back our little juices here, because now we're highlighting the cereal. They're in the spotlight. Okay, so we have the Lucky Charms, which is probably highly selected amongst kids, I would say. As a kid, I used to love Lucky Charms, I have to say. But of course, that's just something, usually kids are, to be honest with you, as far as your visuals, more attracted to the more sparkly, pretty things, especially your red color stimulates wanting to eat more and just have fun. So That's one thing that gets you in with the Lucky Charms. And with your Cheerios, it's still friendly and pretty with the yellow, but it's a lot healthier. Doesn't have as much sugar, I can tell you that. And so it's just a healthier thing. Even it says Happy Heart shapes on it. So we'll go ahead and go right to the nutrition label on the back. And first thing I notice is it says it's 140 calories, and one cup of this item based off the label is the equivalent of 140 grams of calories. Now, if you eat this, it says with a cup of skim milk, it's 190 calories, which that's what it says on the label. So some of the other nutritional facts on this label state that the sodium is at 230 and the total carbohydrates is at 30 grams. So that's one thing you want to look at, especially if you're buying not just for yourself, but for your children or someone who has a health condition. There are things that you want to look at. They have a whole list of vitamins listed here, but at the bottom they have some stuff highlighted, and it says whole grains, oats, sugar, cornstarch, modified cornstarch, corn syrup, dextrose, and it contains 2% or less of salt, gelatin, trisodium phosphate, and red 40. So that means it has some color dye in it. And then it has all these percentages here. All that's meaning is, back talking about the dietary guidelines that we talked about, this is the percentage of what you would get in that vitamin for each serving that you eat. So for the one serving of this, you get 10% of your vitamin D at 2 micrograms. With your calcium, you get 130 milligrams at 10%. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I just wanted to give you a highlight. Another highlight on here is it says it contains bioengineered food ingredients. It is distributed by General Mills out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So, and the size on it is 29.1 ounces, 13.1 ounces. And so if you're a person like me and you're very budget friendly, you always look at your ounce size. And sometimes I pick cereal based on how much cereal's in the box, honestly. So I don't really even just look at the box size, because sometimes the box size can look big, but it can be smaller than a box that's right next to it. But it actually the box that's smaller next to it has more food in it. And that same thing goes with your washing powders and different things of that nature. So this actually, let me see, it's 18 ounces. So this box, it's kind of deceiving because it almost looks about the same size as this. So with that being said, this box is actually a lot smaller in terms of serving sizes. And glancing at the serving sizes, in terms of serving sizes, this one, Lucky Charms, you can get 23 servings out of it. And then with this Cheerios, it says you can get about 25. But the main difference, and I love this about Cheerios, and see, I love everything about everything up here, so I'm not really biased to any one of them, so it makes it that much more fun. Okay, so the one thing about Cheerios is they list the ages on the nutrition label. So they says about 13 servings for ages 4 and older, and then about 25 servings per container for ages 1 to 3. So what that is telling you is that if you have a child that is pretty much between the ages of 1 to, I'd say, about 17, 18 years old, they give you a specific amount of food that that child can eat, whereas with Lucky Charms, it doesn't do that, but with Cheerios, it does. One thing I forgot to mention about on the, when I was talking about the beverages, is one thing you want to watch out for is your fructose or your corn syrup on your ingredient list. It is going to be on a lot of food if you start to pay attention to that on your nutrition label. because that's gonna increase the amount of sugar in your food, and that's something that you may want to look out for, especially for your beverages if you're looking for a more healthy item. So in terms of nutrient density, we're doing a versus situation right now, and I'm trying to compare the Cheerios to the Lucky Charms, and I can tell you that the iron content in the Lucky Charms is at 20% at 3.6 milligrams. For this one, it's at 70% at 12.6 milligrams. I won't go through all the rest, but I mean, you know, if we had these two cereal sitting side by side to compare, obviously the Cheerios is going to be the healthier option. And the other thing I want to note is it's 230 milligrams of salt or sodium in Lucky Charms, and it's only 190 milligrams of sodium in the Cheerios. Cheerios also, let's see, they can help with cholesterol, and they are gluten-free. So I don't know, that's a big thing for people with allergies if you have a gluten sensitivity. So if you're looking for a gluten-free cereal for your children or maybe just yourself, Cheerios is a really, really healthy brand. And I have consumed Cheerios for quite some time, off and on, for a breakfast item. And I can tell you, the cholesterol or the benefits of the cholesterol alone are just outstanding. Your LDL, your numbers, certain numbers, when I say LDL, I'm talking about a lipid cholesterol number that you can get on your, when you go to the doctor and he does like an analysis of your health. There's one factor within that analysis called your cholesterol. And within that cholesterol, it monitors or it helps your body to regulate your heart and blood pressure better, and your overall health. And the reason why these Cheerios are more healthy for you is because of the fact that they contain whole grains and they have more nutrients that are better for your health. So those are just some things I wanted to point out. And I also have the brother or sister of the Cheerios, the main yellow box that we are familiar with and know and love, but also the purple general box you see here, the multi-grain Cheerio, 5 whole grains. So you have 100% daily value and 9 vitamins and minerals, fighting heart disease, Cheerios. So Cheerios has pretty much kind of a variety because they have the honey nut. So that's one thing you want to look at when you're buying your groceries in the store is what's going to be healthier for you, what's going to be give you more energy, your children, and also price is a factor as well. So now one thing I've done too, I don't have any non-name brand cereal represented here today to be the equivalent of the Cheerios. But one thing I can tell you is that most of the time, if you read your non-name brand food items, they typically don't have as much nutrient density in them as name brand. There is a little bit of a difference, about 10 to 25%, just depends on the brand. Sometimes it's more like a 5% percentage difference, and what I mean by that is that you may get more vitamin C or iron in, say, the Cheerios version of the whole grain cereal versus the name brand. So you may want to go with this one if you're really, really trying to make sure you cut down on certain things. But if you're trying to just save a buck, then I would recommend the off-brand. I mean, and the taste can be somewhat different as well. So it just kind of depends on your own personal perspective on that one. So we addressed the larger size versus the smaller size. And so next we're going to talk about serving size. The term serving size is included on the nutrition facts label and refers to the amount of a food or beverage that is customarily consumed. It is not a recommendation of how much to eat or drink. Consuming less than the stated serving size results in consuming fewer calories and other nutrients or food components. Some products may have multiple servings per package, just like we just looked at in our previous example. Some of the items that we talked about for the beverages had only one serving, and that was the 7-Up. And then we had one serving with the Welch's, strawberry kiwi, and then we had multiple servings with the tropical crayon drink with the ocean spray. So you can see that some items have multiple serving sizes. So that's one thing you want to look at, especially if you have more than one child or a big family size, is how many servings am I going to get out of the food item? How much does it cost? That's a big factor. Does it taste good? Is it going to be healthy? Sometimes, if you buy those nutrient-dense foods or they don't have nutrients, you'll eat it and then you're still going to be hungry afterwards. So you want to make sure that your food is going to be nutrient heavy, where it's got good stuff in there for you. So what's in a serving size? That's a question that comes up a lot. You may have not actually consciously thought about it, but you know what? Over the last couple of weeks, I have done that analysis myself, and I have actually paid a lot more attention to labels. And so one fact is that the first 3 ingredients on a nutrition label is going to be the bulk of that item that you're looking at, or the food item or the beverage. So if it says high fructose corn syrup in the first 3 items, that means it's going to have a load of sugar. But if it says something like filtered water or something like that in the beverage, then it's not going to have as much sugar. So just note that to yourself on your when looking at labels. So what is the serving size? They have a list here that is considered to be what is the serving size. 1 slice of bread, half a cup of rice or pasta, 1 small piece of fruit, super large apples at 2 servings, 1 wedge of melon, 3/4 cups of fruit juice, 1 cup of milk or yogurt, 2 ounces of cheese, 2/3 ounces of meat, poultry, or fish. This is about the size of a deck of cards. So when we talk about serving sizes, that's pretty much what we're talking about. So we're talking about serving sizes, and what we're going to do right now is we're going to look at serving sizes for rice, fruit drinks, bananas or fruits, and water basically. And we're going to talk about what is the actual serving size. And so first we're going to look at the fruit. And so 1 small piece of fruit is considered to be a serving size, and it just kind of depends on the individual size and physical activity when it comes to your serving size on a fruit like a banana. Some people, because they do serve or they do make bananas much smaller, so then this banana, so that would still be considered to be like, more so I would say half a serving, because this is pretty much considered to be 1 serving. So that's 1 serving for the fruit. On this second item here, on the white rice, it is 1 serving if you have a half a cup of rice. And I have already poured the 1 or half a cup of rice here. And 2 things I want to note about the rice. We don't promote any particular brand of rice, but what I have here is a 10-minute success rice. And what this box of rice in particular is different versus your other brands, because it's simple fact it has servings packaged for you inside of the bag, and it says boil in a bag on the top, on the front. It's got 4 bags of rice. Each bag, it says serving size is half a cup, has about 7 servings per container. So what that means is you should get 7 meals out of those 4 bags that are on the inside. The other thing I want to mention is white rice is not as healthy as a brown rice. just because of the simple fact that brown rice has more wheat in it. So just one thing on that. But the serving size for one serving for rice is 1/2 cup. On to the juice. For a serving size of juice, it's actually 3/4 of a cup. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour it, and you can see our little line here of where I'm going to pour it, which is at about 6 ounces. And this bottle is 10 ounces. So the other thing I want to note, these little jars that I'm holding are pretty much measuring cups. Everybody pretty much, the general audience probably already knows that, but I just wanted to mention measuring cups because of the simple fact that when you are serving food to others and yourself, it would actually help you to maintain your cost and your budget in food waste, or to reduce food waste by pre-measuring things before you cook them. We just talked about the rice and the 1/2 cup being one serving. Stick to whatever your serving size says on the nutrition facts label, especially when it comes to pastas and rice, because with rice especially, it expands really big. So when you cook this one little 1/2 cup, it becomes like this little boiler full of goodies and goodness of food. But I'm just saying this because when I first started to cook when I was younger, I did not realize that. And so what I would do is fill it to the rim with rice, you know, and this is just me cooking for myself. And what would happen is I would have this excess amount of food that my one person or myself could not consume in a timely time frame. So I just caution you, especially with pasta, and particularly angel hair pasta is a very, very good pasta, but it expands tremendously. So one little box can feed about, I think, even 10 to 15 people. So just because it expands so big, and if you've never cooked with angel hair pasta, you may not know how drastically it expands. But I can tell you from personal experience, it's very important that you read your serving labels, because what could happen, say in the case of if you cook too much rice, if you only cook about, let's say you cook it with a protein like a chicken, then you're not going to have enough rice to go with, or you're not going to have enough chicken to go with the amount of rice that you have, because the rice is going to expand. And you also may have too many leftovers, because research has shown that a lot of people don't like to eat leftovers. So that's my note on that. Now back to the tropical juice. The research says that 3/4 cups of juice is the recommended value or recommended serving size on juices. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour this into this little glass or measuring cup here. And we're almost there. Okay, we're right at it. So that is 3/4 cups of tropical punch or strawberry kiwi. And so that's what that is in the glass or the measuring cup. And that is what they would consider to be one serving, which you can see you still have some liquid in the bottle. And so my last little example is this bottled water here. And I'm not going to pour it, but I just wanted to point out that this would be considered, this is a 16.9 ounce, would be considered to be 2 servings, if I'm not mistaken. Well, a little bit over 1.5, because 8 ounces is about the size. So yeah, two servings would be it on that. But if you consume a lot of water, if you're just used to drinking water, that actually would be easy 1 serving. So that's a little bit about your serving sizes. And so now we are going to get into discussing about food groups and food group recommendations for the dietary guidelines. The food groups include a broad variety of nutrient-dense food and beverage choices. In every setting across all cultures and at any age or budget, There are foods and beverages that can fit within the dietary guidelines framework. The recommended serving sizes for vegetables is that the vegetables are fresh, frozen, canned, and dried, and you have 5 servings per day. They have some examples listed here for 1 cup of raw leafy greens, a half a cup of cut up vegetables, half a cup of cooked beans or peas, and then 1/4 cup of 100% vegetable juice. And on that last one, some beans are considered to be protein, so they can kind of go either way. The peas is actually vegetables, but I just wanted to note that on some of the beans. The next one we have is the recommendations for fruit, and they recommend 4 servings per day with 1 medium whole fruit, a half a cup, or some examples of 1 serving would be 1 medium whole fruit, a half a cup of cut up fruit, 1/4 of cup of 100% fruit juice, and 1/4 cup of dried fruit juice. And so based off of what we just talked about, that is a little bit different from what the little example we just did, but it just varies on the size of the actual fruit juice that you're using as well. So I think this is just some examples, and they don't have a actual size of the juice bottle. So it says this is the recommended serving sizes for grains. It says at least half should be whole grain, high in dietary fiber, and 6 servings per day. 1 slice of bread, 1 small tortilla, 1 cup ready to eat cereal flakes, 1 ounce of uncooked pasta or rice, a half a cup of cooked rice, pasta or cereal, or half a cup of popcorn. And your recommendations on dairy, low fat and fat free dairy products, 3 servings per day. And some examples will be 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of yogurt, 1.5 ounces of cheese. Your recommendations on poultry, meat, and eggs, lean and extra lean poultry, skin and visible fat removed, 8 to 9 servings per week, 3 ounces of cooked meat or poultry, 1 egg or 2 eggs whites. And recommendations for fish and other seafood would be preferably oily fish that provides omega-3 fatty acids, 2 to 3 servings per week, 3-ounce cooked fish or seafood. And recommendations for nuts, seeds, beans, and legumes, and it's 5 servings per week. Add 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, 2 tablespoons or half ounce of nuts or seeds, and 1/4 cup of cooked beans and peas. So some other tip reminders to remember to help you control your portion sizes. When cooking at home, offer the proper serving to each member of the family, then put the extra food away. Save leftovers for another meal. The second one, when dining out, skip the appetizers and split a large salad or main dish with a friend. And another little portion size controller on dining out, another good tip is to actually drink water when you're out instead of ordering soda. Drinking water will reduce your calories from anywhere from about 70 calories to 200, depends on what drink you are consuming and how much of that drink you consume. Just like from my example before, this cran punch or tropical punch is 80 calories, but it's got 3 servings in it. So what that means is per serving, it's going to be 80 calories. So you just times that 240. So, I mean, pretty much if you're going to drink at your dining out experience, then you want to consider drinking something that may not have as much calories, because you got to think a lot of times when you're at the restaurant, you may eat some extra rolls, you may eat dessert, you may eat more food than you would normally eat, and sometimes some of the dishes are pasta heavy. So some other options to reduce your calories while at dining out experiences is to order a vegetable instead of fries. And also to maybe switch out the biscuit, if they have biscuits on the menu, for a different bread item, for a wheat bread if they have some type of wheat bread. So just those are some type of portion control things that you can do. Another really big tip as far as portion control, use smaller glasses or glassware in terms of your bowls and shapes of bowls. Your bowl size can actually save you a lot of waste when it comes to food, and particularly if you have a smaller audience or a smaller age audience that you are going to be cooking or serving food to. You want to use bowls that are smaller than this one. I just use these because they were here on the table. But if you take those recommendations in terms of, say, that half a cup of rice, and then you apply it to just cooking only that amount for the serving sizes that you need, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up with less food waste because you're preparing enough food for that individual. So, and that's based off of, like we talked about before, the age of the individual, your height, your race. All those factors go into what is the American Guidelines is going to recommend for you. So what we did today was just kind of give you an overview of what one serving size is. But in order for you to, say, maintain more of a portion size, you always want to use smaller bowls versus bigger ones, because what's going to happen by nature, you're going to put more food into a bigger bowl. So if you want to reduce your size, get smaller bowls. And so that will help you out on your portion sizes tremendously. The next tip is, when ordering takeout at home, eat one slice of pizza instead of two, or order a small instead of a medium to split among the family so the pieces are smaller. At snack time, never eat straight from the bag or box. Measure out snacks, including fruits and veggies, into appropriate portion sizes before giving them to your kids. All the time, tracking your calories helps you monitor your weight. It helps to know what the appropriate serving size is so you can correctly estimate the calories in your portions, especially if you dine out a lot. Using a food diary can help you pay closer attention to what you're eating and how much and how often. And that pretty much summarizes how to control your portion sizes. That pretty much wraps up everything, or all the concepts that we wanted to talk about on today. And I thank you so much for always supporting our video presentations, and I hope that you will watch again, and I will bring you more health tips and how to maintain your diet, and hopefully you're enjoying all of this information. If you ever have any comments or questions, feel free to email me at my email address at chandra.DeRamus@kysu.edu. And if you would like to find us on Facebook, my videos and some other tips that can be helpful for you and your family can be found at the Hardin County Facebook page. And if you go to our Facebook page, you will find fact sheets and newsletters that give you some more information based on all this information that I shared with you here. I would like to thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day.